Good afternoon and welcome to our Facebook Live for today. It is Friday, the 22nd of January 2021. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you are keeping well. I'll just give people a minute or two to join us. So this week we've been working on some of the celebration items that are available from Stampin' Up between now and the end of February. And yesterday I introduced you to this stamp set with matching papers, and it is called Berry Blessings. That's the name of the stamp set that you can see here. And I did stamp out the images here so that you could see them stamped, because I think it gives you a better idea of what they're like when they're stamped out. And so we have these outline images for the leaves, the stalk, the berries and these berries, and then there's some inside fillers that fill those stamps in. So what we did yesterday was this card here, and I've just stamped on a piece of Whisper White card the outline, and then I used the infill to fill in the berries and the stalk and the leaves. So that was the one yesterday, and then I added the lovely background papers here, and I'm not sure that you can actually see it in detail, but I did add some Wink of Stella on these berries and also on the stamped berries as well, just to finish that off. Okay, so I was so pleased with that one, I decided that I had to make another one using the other part of the stamp set, and that's this one here with the berries, which is this stamp here with the little top from it as well. And this one I used Rich Raspberry, as you can see here. And I just filled this one in. Actually, I used some of the blends pens for the infill and also for the leaves, just to have a different effect basically. And I've used Rich Raspberry as the card base and the layer here, and the sentiment on the front here says wishing you the very best, and the sentiment here says bountiful blessings, and then you always have a way of making my day, which I think was a really nice sentiment. Now my phone seems to be having problems running Facebook this afternoon. I have no idea why. Let's see if I can click on one of my messages, see if that comes to life, and see if anybody else manages to join us. So today I said during our session yesterday that I would actually do some watercolouring today. So that's my plan. And so what I'm going to do is use this image again, but I'm going to stamp it all over a piece of shimmer white card and then do some watercolouring. And I've got a few hints and tips for you for watercolouring where you want to do a whole lot of watercolouring in one go. Okay, so I think I'm going to crack on despite the slowness of Facebook to actually do anything. Okay, let's crack on and I'll see if anybody joins us. So what I'm going to do is put these to the side, and the one I'm going to do today is just going to be on a note card. Let's move that out of the way too. So I have a piece of shimmery white card here. So this one is perfect for watercolouring because it will take the amount of water that you need. And you could also use watercolour paper if you preferred. Okay, that's entirely up to you. So what I'm going to do is actually stamp my sentiment first and then do my stamping around it. And the sentiment I'm going to use is from Fancy Phrases, this one here, one of my favourite sets for sentiments, because it's got a little something just for you, which I really like as a sentiment. So I've mounted that up onto a block, and the thing to remember if you're watercolouring is that you need to use an alcohol based ink. So we're using Staz-On, and I'm doing it in black. Now Staz-On is a really sticky ink, just so that you know, and if it gets too dry it can tear your paper, because it basically almost acts like a glue, so it sticks the stamp to your paper, and then when you pull it away you can tear the paper. So if your ink pad is running light, like mine is in this case, then just make sure you ink it up extra well. I can see a tiny hair on there. That's not going to help it, is it? So ink it up extra well. And for this one I'm just going to bring this down a little bit so it's closer to me. Hopefully you can still see that. And I've got this lined up, I think roughly, on my block. We'll soon find out. There we go. A little something just for you. So you could hear it stick. So I know that there's not much ink in here, and unfortunately I couldn't find my re-inker. I've got all my other colours that I need, but not Staz-On. I found my Memento, but not my Staz-On. But never mind. Okay, so there is my inked sentiment. And now what I'm going to do is ink up my leaves and my berries in turn. So if your stamp does get really sticky and does start tearing the paper, then my recommendation is to give your stamp a really good clean. If you've got Staz-On cleaner, then even better. So what I'm going to do is bring one down here, like so. Press it down like that, and you can hear it stick. Alright, so I definitely know this needs replacing, but if I'm just careful and make sure I ink it up, I should be alright. Okay, I'm going to do the same down here. Now I know that the berries come in here, so I'm not going to get these too close to each other, because I don't want the berries to run over between them. There we go. I'm going to put a little one in the corner, so again inking it up. Just going to perhaps put this one here, like so, and then a little bit at the top. let's just bring this round here. And let's just have a little bit there. There we go. And a little bit in that corner as well. And you can tell how sticky it is because it will pick up the ink pad. So that's an indication. If it's that sticky, it's sticking to the ink pad, that really does need refilling. Let's pop that one on there. So I'm hoping I've got enough ink to finish the card. We'll soon see. There we go. Okay, so there's my outside leaves done. Now I'm going to do the matching berries. So again, this is Staz-On. And if you look across it, if you can see it's wet all the way over, you know that it's got ink. So I'm just going to pop these in here. There we are. This one, so can you see what I mean about giving plenty of space between them? Just going to put a corner of one there, like so. And then this one in here. There we are. Now I've just caught a little bit of that paper there, down here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of Staz-On cleaner to my stamp, just to make sure I dissolve that little bit. And I've got a muslin cloth here that I'm going to use just to clean it off, like so, and then re-ink that again. Yep. So I've just got two little bits up here, so I'm going to put one of these on here, like so, and let's put that one on there like that. There we go. Could put something in there because there's a bit of a gap there, isn't there? So let's just put the tip of that one on there. So if you are joining me, do say hi. My phone's decided it's just too much to handle. Plus if I get rid of everything else, it might work. So apologies if you're watching and I haven't recognised you or commented. Just put that in there. There we are. So there's my stamped design. So I've got my sentiment there and then my berries and things coming round. Now for watercolouring, what I use... Oh, hi Chris. Thank you for joining us. So I've been using this celebration stamp set. So I've stamped these in Staz-On. And what I'm going to do is watercolour these. So you want to make sure obviously that your ink is dry to start with. Now because I didn't have much ink, it's going to be pretty dry to start with. And there's quite a few different ways that you can watercolour. One of the easiest ways is to take a small block, press it onto the ink pad with your colour of choice. So I've chosen Mango Melody because I want these to look like oranges. Just for a change. The papers are lovely, aren't they? So all I'm going to do is take my water painter and just squeeze the barrel so I've got a little bit of water on the block, and this is Mango Melody, and I can just go in and watercolour these to make them look like oranges. So you can do a single layer and then go back in with more colour. So obviously the more ink you have, the more detailed that will become. So I've used ink from the stamp. What you can also do is take ink from the refill and put that on your block, and that obviously will be much deeper because it's a direct ink, so it's not sort of diluted, if you like, with the water from the pen. And so now if I apply that, you can see the real colour of the ink coming through. So this is using the refill rather than the ink from the pad with the ink from the watercolour pen, which is basically a paintbrush with a barrel on it filled with tap water. I usually use water that's cooled from the kettle because it has a little bit less stuff in it, because we're in quite a hard water area here. So that gets rid of some of that. So you can go back in while it's wet and add a little bit more detail if you wish, like so. I'm just adding a bit of depth at the bottom, like so. If you get it too wet, then just use a it's got a clean cloth here, a clean cloth, and you can just dab it off like so. You could use a kitchen towel. I do like to use these, a bit more environmentally friendly, and they don't get as wet, so less likely to mess anything else up. Okay, so that's my oranges coming into play there. Okay, have I missed any? No. So in order to get the colour out of this, you can just squeeze it. Obviously if you've got more than one aqua painter or water painter, then that's even better. But if you want to change the colour, you can just run the water through, just squeezing the barrel on either side until it runs clear, which it is now. So what I could do is do the same thing and use a little bit of either the ink pad or the ink refill straight onto the block, like so. So this is Granny Apple Green, so I thought that would look nice with oranges. And again, you can just tease out a little bit of this colour, add a little bit of water from the barrel. If it gets too wet, you can just dry a little bit off, and then you can apply it to your leaves. You can wet the leaves first if you want as well, and then apply your colour. Like so. Like that. Just turn this round, and then I'm going to show you another way of adding the colour. So there we are. So nice, vibrant, much more vibrant colour when you use the ink refill. And you can of course go back and make that deeper just by going back into the ink and then just spreading that around that centre line, however you want to do your watercolour effect. Like so. Okay, let's put a little bit in here where those joins are. There's a bit of green leaf running on the edge. And I'm just putting a tiny bit of green on this edge here. What you want to make sure is if you're switching from one colour to the other that you've allowed the first colour to dry. Otherwise the two colours can blend in together if you're not careful. So here's another idea. If you have a lot of area to cover with your ink, and I'm just going to wipe this off so I don't put anything on it unduly. If you have a large area to cover, what you can do is take your water painter with water and add a few drops of your re-inker to the water in the barrel, so that you are producing, and if I just squeeze on here, it's already going to be green from the Granny Apple Green ink. So all I did was, this is about 3/4 full, and I added about 3 drops of re-inker. Obviously if you only want a little bit, then just fill it 1/4 full and put maybe 1 drop in. So, hello Jill, thanks for joining us. I hope you're well. Mr. Start, that's okay. I don't know where everybody is today. So some big news announcement I'm missing, maybe. Okay, so in order to do these ones here, what I've done is I filled my barrel with water and ink refill. So I can just squeeze this, get a little bit of that flowing. Can add a bit more a hair colour if I want, but then I can just brush that straight onto the leaf, just squeezing that to make sure I've got enough water on it. So there's a different way of watercolouring. Now if you've only got a little bit to do, then I wouldn't do that method, because you're you know, using up a few drops of ink refill. But if you were doing a lot of this, so if you had, you know, like 20 of these cards to do, or 20 featuring these with different colours, then have one pen that's all ready with the ink in the barrel, and then you'll find it's much quicker to go back in with your watercolouring. So that's another a slightly different method. Just blend that out a little bit. Okay, so there's a few watercolouring tips. Just going to wipe that off. But you can use the ink from your ink pad. Just take your block and push it onto the ink pad if you prefer, or if you haven't got any refills, then obviously that's what you'll need to do. Okay, so there's my finished part of the card, if you can see that in the light there. So I've stamped in Staz-On, I've stamped the leaves and the berries, and I've coloured them in orange because I want them to look like oranges, just to make it look like something completely different. Hi Ali, how are you? So let us grab some components to finish this card off. So I've got one of our standard note cards, comes with an envelope, and what I was thinking is I've got Mango Melody here, and then a black layer with a very little border, and then this one on the top, so that it's got something to bring out the Mango Melody colouring. So I'll just layer those up. So I'm just using wet glue. So put that one on there. So I have got just a little border around it. Obviously you can make more of a border if you wanted to. Add this layer, and then I've got some orange sequins that I can use to finish it off with. So this is used the Celebration stamp set. There is a strawberry stamp set that matches these papers as well, and that has a matching strawberry punch too. There we go. And then I'm going to mount that onto there like that. So make sure that your paper underneath is nice and dry before you turn it over. Like so. And pop that on there. So if any of you lovely ladies are waiting for orders, I know Jill probably is, I know Chris is, from my class in a box. We've got a large backlog, it's the best way I can describe it, at UPS due to the customs and the new Brexit rules and regulations. And UPS are trying to get everything out as quick as they can, but there is a long delay. So if you've ordered from me and you're waiting, you should have received an email to explain why. They will come through, it's just so much for them to process at the minute. And obviously if you've ordered for yourself as a customer or demonstrator, then the same applies. There we go. So what do you think? Do you like my oranges? I suppose there could be grapefruits as well. So let me show you the ones that we did yesterday. So we've got this one here. Well, I did this yesterday after the live. This is the one I did during the live yesterday. That one there. So those two there, and then using this same stamp to create this one here. Stamping around, I did the sentiment first, so I knew I had space around it. And then filling that in watercolour, whereas this was stamped in with the stamped image, and this was coloured with blend pens. So 3 different looks really from the same stamp set. Obviously I haven't used background papers on here because I want my stamped background to do the work. So I hope you like what you've seen and what I've done today. I hope the few tips that I added were useful to you. So as I say, make sure you have a cloth with you, and you can fill up your barrel with some ink refill if you wish, or pop some ink refill onto a block and pick up the ink that way, or you can put the block onto your ink pad and pick up the ink that way round. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that's been useful. Not quite sure why it's been so quiet today. I'm good, well, thank you, Ali. Oh, hello, Valerie. Thanks for joining us. Sorry I didn't see you sneak on there. It wasn't showing up on my screen for some reason. So I hope you like those. Valerie, I don't think I've sent you a catalogue in the post. Perhaps you can confirm if I have or I haven't. And if I haven't, I'll pop one in the post for you tomorrow. That's the new January to June catalogue that has these items in. This item is actually a free item in celebration, which you may remember from last year. So if you can confirm whether you have or you haven't received the catalogue, Valerie, then I will pop one in the post as required. So thank you so much, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed what I've done. I look forward to crafting with you next week and getting those orders out to you as soon as they get to me. So please bear with me. Oh, I have. Excellent. Thank you, Valerie. I have 3 Valeries, you see, and I was trying to rack my brains as to whether I'd sent catalogues to all of you. So I'm glad for once that I was on the ball. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. You take care and look after yourselves. I hope you have a nice weekend. Look after your loved ones, and I hope you can keep crafting. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.